What is going on YouTube? PokeLive here, and in today's video I am going to be teaching you how to get Hitmonchan, Hitmonlee, and Hitmontop. Now these are such great shinies, so what I'm going to have you guys do is fly to the Central Plaza. Now you will need the DLC. We will be in the Indigo Disc, so please make sure you have the DLC. Yes, it is worth it. And head right over to the Canyon biome. Now what's great about this is it's right next to the Central Plaza, so you don't really have to look too hard on the map. Now, personal thing that I like to do is make sure I see one of the Pokemon before setting up my sandwich, just to make sure that there are some there. So now, once you are in a good location, go ahead and make your sandwich. Now, there's two different ways that you can go about this. One is the simple method with a pickle and 2 salty herba. Now, if you don't have a lot of salty herba, it is the harder herba to get. You can take the longer route, which is typically what I do, which is 1 cucumber, 4 pickle, and then you can mix match your herba. Just don't use 2 sweets or sweet and sour. So I went ahead and I just used bitter and spicy for this one. Kept it pretty simple and threw on a very cute little Eevee pick. So once you have your sandwich made, you will get that encounter. We do need the fighting type encounter because that is what Tyrogue is. It is a fighting type Pokemon. So now comes the fun part where you guys just have to look for those blue shorts. Now what's great about this particular Pokemon is that it spawns pretty successfully and it's really hard to miss. You know, in comparison to its regular with the brown shorts, it just has blue shorts. Now I like to do some picnic resets. I usually will auto battle about 60 of them and then kind of get into like a little loop, run around, and if I'm not seeing anything, I will just set up a picnic, close it out. That does reset everything, so you will get some fresh spawns. And finally, we started encountering some shiny Tyrogues. Now I recommend getting 3 of these so we can do all 3 of these evolutions. Now it might not happen for you in one shot. You might have to do a few shiny hunts, but for the sake of this one, I actually was able to get 3, which is crazy. So if you got lucky, congratulations. If you needed a few shiny hunts to find all 3, don't worry, it happens. We're not guaranteed to get shinies every single shiny hunt that we do, despite all the haters saying this is the easiest game to shiny hunt in. We love it anyways. So once you have your Tyrogues, put 3 of them in your main party because we are going to start the Evo process. Now it does require looking at the attack and defense stat. It doesn't have anything to do with gender. It has to do with your attack and defense. Make sure you are looking at the stats on the right side of that little diagram there. And our first one that we're going to do is going to be Hitmonchan, which has a higher defense than its stats. So go ahead, just give it a rare candy, get it up to level 64. Rare candy to me is just the easiest one because it automatically levels it up by 1. And that is how you get Hitmonchan. Super easy as long as you know to look at the defense and the attack stats. So the next one we're going to do is Hitmonlee, which has a higher attack than defense. Now, if all 3 of your Tyrogues had like the same type of stats, you know, they were all higher defense or all higher attacks, don't worry, you can make one higher than the other by just shuffling between protein, which will raise your attack, and then iron, which will help raise its defense. And that is how you get Hitmonlee. Now Hitmontop is going to be the most involved one because you do need the attack and the defense to be equal. Now there's some other methods such as like hyper training, but I always find that iron and protein is really the simplest way. So after just giving it a couple and seeing if you're even. Now what gets confusing is that if you give it 1 iron, it doesn't necessarily raise it by 1. The count is a little bit off, so you may have to play around with it. Eventually I did get it even, just shuffling between iron and protein. And once it is even, you can go ahead and you can give it a rare candy and it will evolve into Hitmontop. So it is a little bit evolved, but luckily this shiny is super easy to find. Every single time I've hunted this Pokemon, I found a bunch of them in one shiny hunt. So it's super easy, it stands out, and as long as you have one Tyrogue that has higher defense, and then you have another one that has higher attack, and then you have one that's even, you can get all three of them. I promise it's not too bad. Let me know in the comments if this helped you and you used this particular method. Also, I am a streamer, so if you join my streams, I may even trade you some fun shinies. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next video.